Hi, Martina here. Let's create another set of cards. This time using the clear stamp and die and stencil clubs from Spellbinders for September 21. I am preparing everything so I can start to create one of my backgrounds. I will be creating 3 different backgrounds that still match very nicely together and make a nice set to give away. I have to prepare my paper because I'm planning on some heat embossing in the first step, and then I just have to make sure that all the stencils are lined up nicely and will create the pattern they should create when I'll be using them. The stencils, they all have these nice little corners which help you align the stencils absolutely perfect each time. And for my first layer, I'm using embossing ink. I have one dedicated brush for my embossing ink. I love applying the embossing ink with a brush like this because I feel it gets in all these little nooks and crannies stencils usually have. I can then already peel my paper off of my grip mat and then just apply the embossing powder. I decided to go with a pink sparkly one because I felt this will be adding a nice and fun touch to my card background. As usual, I have to make sure that all these, loose bits and pieces are cleaned up before I heat set the cardstock. And whilst heat setting, I make sure to heat the paper from the front and back, both not too long in one space, so I have an as even as possible paper after the heat setting. I will then use distress oxides to add a whole bunch of different layers of pumpkins, and that's just super easy. Just align the stencil again at the same spot as you did before. These little corners again help you to align it perfectly. I'm just cleaning my brush because I've been working with a darker pink before, and then just apply the color through the stencil. It's just easy as it is. And after that layer, I will also speed the video up because I think this is really not the most entertaining part to watch. But I mean, it's still very nice to watch. I would agree on that. I will be cutting the video here and then just move forward to the final layer of pumpkins for that card. And you see I have a little bit of mess up with the stems of the pumpkins, and I will go in and try to fix at least one of them. But the other ones I don't mind too much because I just plan of applying my vellum and sentiment pieces over the messed up parts, and that will just be fine. You have already seen the stencils. Now you get to see the stamps. These are the September Club stamps, and of course there are dies that match the stamps. You have the acorn, a nice pumpkin arrangement, and some sentiments. For the sentiments, there is a rectangular shape that cuts all the rectangular sentiments, and shaped dies for the hello, you are such a blessing, and happy Thanksgiving. I will be using the sentiments for the cards today, and to do so, I have cut some stripes of vellum, and I'm using one of these grip mats. I love to work with them. I didn't used to work with them for a very long time, but now I just can't stop. For example, the grid on this mat is super helpful to get the stamps aligned in a nice centered and aligned way, which I usually mess up with. And I'm using some clear embossing ink and then a very nice copper colored embossing powder to add my sentiments because I think the copper color will be a nice match to the backgrounds I'm creating. Again, cleaning up is something I usually do when I'm working with embossing powder, just to make sure I get a nice and crisp image. Heat embossing on vellum is no rocket science. You just have to work a little bit careful and make sure your heat is applied not too much in one space, and you should be good to go. I have heat embossed 3 different stripes. And I can't wait to show you the finished cards. But before, let me show you another one. I created a second Distress Oxide background that's just pure Distress Oxides. And this is my testing stripe because I usually like to, well, mix and match my colors before I decide on a, well, color combination for a project. And you just seen the second card I made. And now let's move on to the third and last one, which is again beginning as I stopped with the Distress Oxides. Again, making sure I'm able to line up everything nicely on my card. I lined up all the corners of all the stencils for all the cards at the same corner, and I'm totally happy with my result. I have now filled in all the Distress Oxides to all the stencils, but I had one stencil left, and that's the one I'm working on now. I am using white texture paste and Lindy's magical powder. I have a, well, nice amount of texture paste in each of the gaps of the stencils, and I just sprinkled over some magical powder over the openings, and I'm now using a palette knife to spread the magical over the texture paste. And look at this. I absolutely love this effect, and I think it's another fun texture and another fun effect, and it completes this super cool set of September Club cards. And this is almost the end of the video. I really wanted to take a second to say thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. I really appreciate it, and I really hope you found something inspirational in it, and wish you an amazing day. See you soon. Bye.